Picking a workout plan and sticking to it may be one of the hardest things that many of us face in our modern day lives. We know that activity is good for us, and yet no matter what we do, we just can't find a thing that grabs us enough to keep doing it. Today we're going to chat about what might be missing in that equation that's keeping you from getting hooked into the thing that you're doing to love it enough to continue with it. Let's get into it. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Shane Farmer, and this is Dark Horse, where you build the life that you want to live, and we just happen to use rowing, usually, to get you there. There are a host of factors that come into play when you're trying to figure out why you don't stick with a workout program that you start. And maybe you've started a whole bunch of them in your lifetime and nothing has stuck. You're like, I'm not feeling it enough. And that can be inherently frustrating because it affects the rest of your life. You get started and then you stop, and then you get started, and eventually you reach this point where you might even lose hope. You just kind of resolve yourself to say, I don't like working out, and therefore I'm not going to do it. I would argue, however, that there are a multitude of factors that go into it, which it's not just you, but perhaps this range of factors that we're talking about. More specifically today, though, I want to cover the question of, are you training or are you working out? The differences between those and why they could have a massive impact on your future physical fitness choices. I want to come at this from the standpoint of training versus working out, and what in your brain you have fixed as what you're trying to do with your fitness, like why you're doing it in the first place, and then how we can unwrap that a little bit to repackage it for your mind, because once you repackage it, you can then take that into whatever you choose to do next, or maybe the thing you're doing now because you don't want this thing to fail. You can repackage that, use it, and it becomes motivation, it becomes driving force, and it gives you the ability to continue on, to not drop off this time, but to continue with it. So let's discuss, what is the difference between training and working out, and which are you setting yourself up for? Training is a very specific approach to a specific goal. So when you look at an Olympian or an elite athlete, they train for their sport. And perhaps even within their sport, they're given event. Let's say you're a runner. Okay, well, that's a sport, but you're a sprinter. Okay, that narrows it down a little bit more. And you sprint only the 100-meter. Okay, great. Well, now we know exactly what to train for. Now, when you look at the way that they work out, it's highly specific and targeted to accomplish everything possible to get to the razor's edge of that event. And that is what training is. It's highly specific, highly guided, follows a plan, and it's attempting to get to an end goal. Working out, on the other hand, is simply the act of fitness, doing the body moving thing, whatever that may be. And so between those two, there's this large chasm of nothingness, right? There are plenty of things that can bridge the gap, but often in our brains, we see it as either training or working out. And we put ourselves into one of these two camps. Now, if we choose the workout camp, it's very easy to understand why perhaps that isn't very motivating. Well, why? Because there is no direction to working out. You're not trying to accomplish anything when you work out. Instead, you are trying to just work out for the sake of working out, which when you consider intrinsic motivation, why do I continue doing the thing that I'm doing, there essentially is none unless you have previously qualified a larger goal that's important to you. I want to be able to get on the floor to play with my kids. And so, I love this question and answer sequence. If you set a goal, always ask yourself, and then, or and so, or so what? About 3 or 4 times, and eventually you arrive at a goal that's much more targeted. But I want to be able to get on the floor to play with my kids so that my kids will see me moving, and that will hopefully show them that fitness is just a part of life, not something that they have to choose to do. So that they will live a healthier, happier life, and they don't have to fall in the same pitfalls that I've had in my life, and perhaps avoid health risks or health issues that I'm dealing with. So that the future of my family can, right? You see where this goes. So unless you've set a targeted goal like that, well, working out is most likely never going to work for you. Because without any kind of intrinsic motivation, without any goal, you show up, you sweat, you do it half-heartedly, and where do you go from there? Well, you start something and then it drops off because you don't care about it. You're just doing it for the sake of doing it, and that will almost always fail. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, training. Highly focused, highly targeted. You can see why this might be a detractor as well, and perhaps you avoid choosing to train, that is, picking something that you go after, because it seems reserved for the elites, the performance athletes. Well, I'm here to tell you that it's not. It just so happens that they need to be very good at one thing, and it allows them, their coaches, their training partners, and all of the different forms of fitness that they do, to give them one constant focus that everybody can rally around, and it allows them to drive with a singular metric in mind. Get faster at the thing. Lift more weight at the thing. Do this thing better. More specifically, throw the thing further. You get what I'm going at here? So while that helps them, it doesn't mean that it's reserved for them. Now, there is, as I mentioned, there's this chasm, this vast gap that exists between these two places, and this is where you want to reframe your thinking. If you're starting a workout, now the reason I'm talking about this on a rowing channel is because rowing is one of these things. A lot of people find rowing and they don't know what to do with it, and they may buy a machine and start up for a little bit, and the rowing machine starts to collect dust in the corner. The reason that happens is because there was no target ever set on the machine to help you stay engaged, internally motivated enough to project yourself into the future and keep going with it so that it doesn't become a clothing rack. Because nobody wants that. You don't want to go spend $1,000, $2,000, even $250 on a machine for it to only take up space, collect dust, and become a thing that you just put stuff on. You want to get it. At the end of the day, you bought it for a specific reason. And here's where the reframe comes in mind. What needs to happen with whatever your chosen form of fitness is you need to give yourself the context behind, why do I choose this? Why did I do this in the first place? It's very easy to put money down. That's a simple exchange. I put money down, I put my credit card down, Amazon sends me a thing. Often though, the brain interprets that as when I pay money, I have given the onus of what I'm saying I want to do, meaning I want to be healthier. Subconscious. I want to be healthier because I want to see my family live a healthier future, and I don't want to watch my kids suffer through what I have suffered through in my life. By paying the money, often the brain says, I've now handed my problems over to whomever I've given the money to. They send me the machine, and that zeroes out the equation. But that, obviously, if you've started a gym membership and not followed through, you've just proven that transaction does not work. It's why personal training doesn't work if the trainer simply writes you workouts, you show up and you do them. They're not helping you to bridge this gap. And so what needs to change is that you need to target, why did I start this in the first place? What is my deepest pain point? What is the thing that keeps me awake at night, that I am constantly thinking about, that I can't unforget? When you've identified, and that comes from that so that, and on and on and on. The deeper you take that, the better. The more you will realize what drives you. And when you can take this new form of fitness that you have found, tag it to the transaction that you are making. I want to buy a rowing machine. Well, why do I want to buy a rowing machine? And then you go through that exact same example that I just set out. Okay, well, I want to buy a rowing machine because it allows me to practice fitness, and with all the benefits that come with it, it's low impact. I can focus on aerobic strength. I can focus on aerobic capacity, anaerobic capacity. I can work on strength and endurance. It improves my lung capacity, and all without putting my body at risk for greater injury again. And so I can use that tool to help usher me to the end goal, which is my kids 50 years from now won't have to have this same discussion with themselves, because they'll just have fitness baked into their lives. They will have seen it throughout their lives from me. I get to be a better example. That makes me happier in my current time. Do you see where this all stems from? Now, as soon as that machine arrives at my door, I unpack it, I bolt it all together, I put it on the floor, and I go, this is going to get me to where I want to get, rather than, here's the thing that is supposed to take my problems away. Why isn't it taking the problem away for me? Well, it's because you haven't connected with the purpose behind it all to begin with. And therein lies the difference between working out and training. By going through this exercise, you bridge the gap from what previously was just working out because X magazine told you that you were supposed to work out and here are the 5 movements that you should be doing now to, it's all garbage. Any movement is good movement, whatever you choose. But at the end of the day, if you're just working out without purpose, it's almost a guaranteed failure. You will not achieve your goals until you assign a target to them to help you bridge the gap, move across that chasm onto the training side of things. Because when you're training, you show up with purpose. You show up and you do the thing even if you don't want to, because you know it's not the thing that matters. It's not the fit. It's not the workout. You're not defined by the workout. You're defining your future self. Boo! When that happens, the doors open, the skies part. Angels are singing. Light is everywhere, and the earth quakes with excitement. So much good stuff happens when you see your future self, what you're going to become, how you can tie your current self to that, and what is the vehicle to take you there. And that is the entire discussion. So there are plenty of other ways. There's so much psychology that goes into why we don't continue things that we start. But this is a big one. Are you working out or are you training? Let's get you from working out to training, and just maybe, you'll use the rower to get you there. Listen, getting started is a big deal, and I want to be here to help. So if you did just happen to land on a rowing machine and you're looking for workouts to get you started, make sure that you check out this Learn to Row playlist. That is going to give you a bunch of workouts that help you get started with purpose. And when you're ready, you can come join us in the crew, always linked in the description below. It is the biggest online community where you can get workouts that give you purpose and targets and a community that are going to support your efforts to build yourself to be the person that you want to be. And while you're at it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it, because otherwise you'll never see another video of ours again, unless you look us up, and that would be sad for all of us.